Hello and welcome to Red Stain Radio, a Dead by Daylight podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Madison, and I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Stevie and Bryson. Hello.
Howdy.
Hi, hello.
How's it going?
How are we doing today?
Good. Oh, well, I'm doing better.
Yeah, we're
Good.
honestly doing really sleepy, but we're here.
We're working through it. Yeah.
This
It'll be a
is-
chill
this is
episode
it.
for sure.
Yeah. Just want to say quickly to the audience, I know a lot of people have been going through it recently, just personally, a lot of mental stuff. So if you're feeling bad, lie back, get yourself cozy, get some tea or coffee or whatever beverage you like to drink, and relax. Because even though we don't know you personally, I know a lot of people are going through it, and I want to wish you hope you're having a good day and you're feeling well, because we all love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Please. Very
Yeah,
important.
we know how hard shit can be.
Exactly. So hugs and kisses. Now, moving on
That
from
was
hugs
real.
and kisses.
That was real.
Yeah, it's real. Moving on from hugs and kisses. This is episode 38 of Red Stain Radio this week, and we're going to be reflecting on probably one of the most decisive chapter releases of all time and its legacy. That, of course, is Tools of Torment, featuring Thalita and Renato Lyra, and of course, the Skull Merchant. Ooh, the Bogeyman. Ooh.
What do you mean? This is the fan favorite DVD chapter. Like, it is. People love this chapter, and its legacy has just
People can't stop
gotten even
talking
better.
about her.
yeah. It's crazy how relevant the conversation is to this day. But we'll get into that tonight.
I feel like this chapter has kind of since its birth, there's DVD without it and DVD with it, and you can never go back. I'll be honest.
No, never.
Everything before this chapter came out was kind of the infancy of Dead by Daylight. I think that this chapter coming out kind of signified everything about the game is a little more under the microscope, because this one killer kind of changed a little things, but we'll talk about that later. It's a little bit more basic than that, but I think that this chapter is one of everyone's favorites and one of the most impactful.
Thank you so much, Stevie, for that. But we're going to move on from that little retrospective into some announcements. Specifically, our second community event, a Looping and Chase Bootcamp, is next week. We're going to be hosting 2 nights. The first one is on Thursday, March 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then a night 2 is going to be on Saturday that same week on March 28th at also 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be hopping into some custom games to show people how to loop for certain killers, tiles, mind game, and other tricks. So if you want to learn how to loop better, you can learn from the most mid killer main ever, Madison, and some actually good killer players like Stevie and Bryson.
Oh no, I'm the mid killer player.
No, I'm the mid killer.
No, it's me. I know nothing.
But I probably have the least amount of killer hours than both of you, so I'm the rookie killer. But this is also for chase and looping. So killer mains, if you're a killer main, don't feel like you're left out. You'll gain some value out of this as well.
Exactly. So if you're interested, you can go onto our Discord server in RSVP by clicking the remind button at the top with the event tab, or you can just jump on in when the event starts. Either works for us. And these normally go on for 3-4 hours, so you'll be good as long as you don't show up at midnight. Be like, I want to loop. No.
I think we also might record it. So if you can't make it, I will hopefully get an edit together and put it up on our YouTube channel. So maybe you can check that out afterwards. But that's not a promise, just a maybe. We'll let you know.
On our YouTubes. So you could check out youtube.com/RedStainRadio. Whoa.
Please.
Another announcement, we've already said this last week, along with the Looping and Chase Bootcamp event, it's that releases for new episodes are no longer going to be on Wednesday, it's going to be on Thursday. Nothing else is changing. We're just getting an extra day so we have more time to edit it, specifically Bryson, and to just make sure they're higher quality. So instead of releasing on Wednesday, they're going to be on Thursday, same time, roughly, same amount of content. Nothing else is changing, just one day later. Thank you so much for your support, and we hope you understand, please.
Thanks, y'all.
Well, moving on from announcements, we have some DVD news. First off, the 10th anniversary party ticket sales are on soon, and we got some more details. Specifically, it will be hosted in Montreal, and the tickets will be available for purchase on March 19th, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The event is going to be on June 14th this year, held at the Grand Quay in Montreal's Old Port. It's a one-day event with dev panels, reveals, meet and greets, gaming stations, an Art of DBD mini expo, and of course the 10th anniversary broadcast and more. They don't really say what much more is on like the little news release, but it's something more.
How much do you think the base ticket is?
I'm gonna guess like 200, like roughly, at least.
Yeah,
Without going over, I think like 225.
225.
25.
I think it might be like 230 or 240, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they.
Yeah.
My guess is 150. That's me thinking in USD dollars. So maybe. Why did I say USD? I said USD dollars.
USD dollars from the ATM machine.
American dollars.
Yeah, American dollars. Yeah, so maybe 200, I'd say. Yeah, so I think we're all kind of in the ballpark.
Now I'm like feeling like 200 is too much, but I feel like Behavior would charge too much, which I think is why we're all saying that.
I will add. Oh, sorry. Continue. No, you continue. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I think they're definitely gonna play, which I hate when marketing does this, is FOMO. Like
100%. Yeah.
So you got to be there, and so ticket prices are going to be rough.
Yeah. It'll also probably be because it's a one place, one day event, so it's very limited. So they want to get those costs back like 100% just on tickets, I think. So 250 maybe is kind of the vibe I'm getting. Canadian specifically, because I'm the Canadian here. I'm the Canadian. I'm the closest to Behavior. I could go there and be like, "Fix go, man." No, not actually. But like, no.
Maddie, are you going? Will you be at the DVD one day 10th anniversary party?
It really depends on the price, because I could cough up 250, but like even that's a lot of money.
And if it's anything more than that, no way.
If it's more than that, absolutely not. Like $300, absolutely not.
How close are you to the Grand? Is it Grand Quay? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Not to dox myself. I am pretty close. Not to dox.
Cool.
I am close to it.
Amazing.
So I can go in there and be like, "Hi, my name is Madison from Redstone Radio. We're big fans."
Well, I mean, maybe we can get you a press pass or something. We'll see.
Ooh, that would be cool.
One of those hats with the little press ticket.
Unlikely, but
unlikely. That would be cool. Moving on from our anniversary party ticket sales from Behavior, there's the new update, which was the all kill comeback. It's pretty decisive, I'd say, so far. Like, vibes of it are pretty good, just some balancing. Like, I'm gonna be honest, when I played on the map on PTB, I mainly did Trickster, and I was like, oh, he's not that bad. Playing them on live, I lost like 8 of 10 games. It was awful. I'm sorry. Playing on that map as Killer is horrendous. I'm sorry. Like, if you're a Kaneki, you'll probably do fine. Like, Blight, Nerfs, obviously you're going to do fine. But if you're any killer who does not have a movement ability, you are probably going to lose. It's a lot bigger than it seems, and there's so many walls. It's just, not a fan.
I am kind of interested to see how it plays, though, because a lot of the loops kind of interest me as a killer main. I like the way that like the game has a couple loops where like, sure, it's a god palette, but once it's dropped and broken, it's kind of just long geometry. This map, Trickster's Illusion, feels like it's a lot of that sleek geometry, but on such a longer playing field that I wish that it was more compressed and that these loops had more places to shine, because I like when they're perfectly like angular loops with like flat edges, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really is like that. I will add, though, there are some windows that I feel like are supposed to be 50-50, but because of map geometry and like clutter, it is not 50-50. Like, there's one next to Shack that should be 50-50, but there's so much shit on the outside that it takes longer to get around, so it's not 50-50. So I really hope they change stuff like that. And also, I'm not a fan of just whole W areas. Like, in the nightclub, that's definitely a whole W area. I would appreciate if there was like a catwalk. I feel like a catwalk across like that big pit would add a lot to that area and make it a bit more fun, in my opinion. Now, as Survivor, super fun, super easy. No problems there. Killer, I feel like, is kind of the part they need to focus a little bit more. So I do expect some changes on the map to be a bit more forgiving, like more holes in the walls and stuff like that, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not played on it a lot. I'll probably have more thoughts next week when we do a review, but a lot of unsafe pallets. Like,
yeah.
everything but the 2 guide palettes that are on the map, I think, are unsafe. Just about. Like it was. I played 3 today. It was kind of frustrating, but movement killers are gonna eat well on this map, whereas projectile killers you're probably gonna struggle. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the map balancing. I think it's still too big of a map, and gin placement is just bizarre. Like they're just all corralled into weird zones. Like they're so I don't know. I'm conflicted on it a lot, but visually stunning, and I'm not sure if any of those details with the map regarding culture and typography and stuff and things like that were addressed. I'm not familiar, but hopefully, if not, hopefully that gets done soon.
We will probably have more thoughts on the 9.5 chapter coming up soon. We'll consolidate that. Definitely get it together in a new episode. Here we're just talking about it because we got it released this morning.
Yeah. Because it's Tuesday where we were at, but Thursday for y'all.
Yeah, and I think we'll be having a guest for that chapter review as well. So that'll be exciting.
Oh, who could it be? Oh.
Stay tuned.
Well, Bryson, you gotta give us a hint. Is it a new person or someone we've seen before?
It will be a new individual. So, and I would love to bring in. It seems to be our last few chapter episodes have had a guest. Like we've had a guest.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to try to have a guest each of those to get another perspective, because it's always us three. Usually I think another perspective based on our survey. More people wanted more guests. So and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to try to do that more regularly. So stay tuned for them.
It's just up to guests to want to be on the show. So please, if you're listening to this and you want a guest star, you can reach out.
Yeah, do it.
We promise. We're really fun to talk to. We promise. Moving on from that, we also got something I wasn't expecting. A brand new song. We got a song with the release of All Kill Comeback. It's a banger. It's called No Escape by Damon Sharp and features Kevin Wu, who's also the voice actor for Quan. And not gonna lie, it's really good. I listened to it for over 2 hours. It's really, really good. And I like the little music video. And I also have to be honest, why is everyone hot in the music video? Why did they make Trickster and Mina hot? Why is Quan hot? I don't know. I don't know.
They've always been hot. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess when I saw Trickster before, I was like, okay, he's hot, but like I'm not like a wooga. But like in this music video, I don't know. He's just built different. Literally built different. I was like,
you gotta sell somehow, and sex sells. So
yeah. And also Mina and Quan are pretty new, so to me it's like I haven't gotten used to them, but it's any thoughts on the new chapter and the new song, Bryson and Stevie?
I did not know there was a new song. I skipped the intro thing because I was just trying to get into the game. I'll listen to it tomorrow. I didn't know there was a song, so that's cool.
If you like K-pop, you'll like this song. That's kind of my gist.
I mean, he is the K-pop demon hunter, right? That's where I know that this is the guy is from, and so I mean, it makes sense that he's singing.
Yeah, that's true.
He oh god, I think I want to say he voiced Mysterious.
He voiced Mysterious.
It's Mysterious or Mystery. I don't remember. I haven't seen the movie
recently. I am Mystery, the K-pop demon hunter. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, if any of our listeners or viewers know, I'm very dumb. I forget names, but I'm pretty sure he voices the character with the hair in front of his face. I forgot his name. It's Mystery or Mysterious. So yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I don't know, but like I'm happy that they got him to sing too.
Yeah,
that's a W.
Quan featured in the song, and it ate really hard. They ate.
Kevin Wu.
Woo!
You a woo girl, Maddie?
You know what? I think
I'm a woo girl too. Don't worry.
I need to stop talking and making noises. So we're gonna move on.
Well, I was gonna ask: have you both seen K-pop Demon Hunters? Sorry,
I have, but I watched it on release and haven't seen it since. So my knowledge is like,
Stevie,
I really like it.
I haven't seen it, and like I mean, this isn't a K-pop Demon Hunters chapter, but like it's as close as we might get forever.
Yeah.
I don't expect to say like Rumi running around with a fog or anything, or like Zoe. I don't think we're gonna be like, we need to slay the killer, and then like, puppets are a moment.
So like I imagined it was like, idol girl version of Bleach. Is that the idea?
Not really, not really. Like, I wouldn't say that's wrong, but not really. It's
Okay.
like, I would say it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but K-pop and demons, and they're hunters. K-pop demon hunters, if you will.
I don't really have an anchor to tether it to personally. I watched it because my partner wanted to watch it, and I surprisingly liked it. I liked some of the songs too, which I listened to a few weeks after I watched it, and it's solid. It's definitely going to make thousands and millions of dollars for Sony.
Oh, for sure.
And, and they'll have endless sequels and a spinoff and maybe a video game. So
a sequel has already been announced. They're already making it, and they won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars this year. So
there you go.
Not surprised.
There you go.
Yeah, if we had more time, I'd be like, let's talk about the Oscars because I think it's really interesting. But no. We're going to be moving into the actual topic of the show, which is the Tool of Torment retrospective. So there's a lot to go over. So the structure of this episode is basically we're going to be looking at the timeline from the first ever tease all the way up to where she is currently. And it's going to be very generalized. So we're not going to be like, on September 18th, 2024, she got gutted for the second time and was left to rot by behavior. No. But we are going to be like, this is major event number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the last one, which is where we are currently.
Yeah, it's also important to note, this is our first retrospective. We've not done any of these. Crazy that we're at 38 episodes in and this is our first. But we've hinted at it a little bit with like Halloween, we sort of kind of did that. We know when we did the movie review. But this wasn't the really detailed retrospective. And I want to do more of these too, because there's other chapters, not as impactful, I'd say, but had some drama centered around them, such as Legion or Twins and such. So
I definitely think Binding of Kin is up there, number 2, I think, in terms of impact. If you don't know, listeners and viewers, that was the old chapter for Elodie Rakoto and the twins, aka Victor and Charlotte. So
so I hope these episodes are like time capsules for players who were not around at that time, and I think this will be a really interesting episode for y'all.
Yeah.
Because I imagine DBD in 10 years from now, it's going to be ancient history, and that
it's going to be like, look at this time capsule.
Sorry to drag this on even longer, and we don't have it in our news, but recently one of the devs from DBD was quoted in an IGN article, I think. I shared it in the Discord, but they expect this game to go on another 10 years. That is, we can have another conversation.
Now
what
I
does
have
that
to
look
think
like?
in those terms too.
What do we, that's a whole nother box of worms or a can of worms or what do you want to call it?
A whole other box of cats.
I have an idea for that. What we should do, I'm sorry, this is totally off topic, but what we should do is make a time capsule bingo, is what I'll call it. Where we put all of our predictions of what we'll think will happen in the next 10 years with Dead by Daylight. And then if we ever get bingo, we should do something fun. I don't know. Every time we get bingo, we have a fun episode where we're like, we were right. We were right.
I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Yes. Okay. Write that down.
Do that for the anniversary. That way we can say it's the next 10 years.
That will be fun. Yes. What we think will happen in the next 10 years of Dead by Daylight.
Ooh, wild.
Okay. Locked in. Moving on from that, let's talk about Tools of Torment retrospective, starting with the expectations. So long before Tools of Torment even came out, there was Year 7, the year that Skull Merchant and the twins came out in, or the siblings, sorry. What's really interesting, though, is that back in the Year 7 roadmap, we didn't know if this was going to be a licensed or non-licensed chapter. Additionally, also during the roadmap for Year 7, where it showed where Skull Merchant and the 2 characters were going to come out, there was no map and no second survivor. It was originally going to be 1 killer, 1 survivor, maybe licensed or not. We had no idea what this was going to be besides those 2 things. And that kind of started to create some hype. Could this be Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Or, could it be Alien and Ripley? We had 0 ideas of who this could be. And that kind of started building up hype, which led to some high expectations later on in the future.
Yeah.
Specifically, eventually when the actual license started to get teased, we got 2 teasers before the actual PTB release and trailer. The first one was a skull on a workbench posted on X and YouTube, where there was blueprints and drones all over the place, and it was like very like mechanical, very grungy. And then the light of like one of the eye sockets of the skull lights up red, and there's wires, and it gave like a very like robotic feeling, and people had some comments on it, which looking back now, oh, I would like to read those.
But before we get into the comments, I want to add a little more context to this. So this, listeners, if you're unfamiliar, year 7 was 2022 to 2023, with
Yes.
Skull Merchant releasing in 2023. The year it would be, because she was the last release of, or Tools of Torment was the last release of
Yeah.
that
Of that
roadmap.
like, year.
Yeah, and back then on the roadmap, they did not tell us it was licensed or original. That was completely secret. Whereas now, the last couple years, they have told us whether those were licensed. I think probably because of this event, which we'll get into, because people were like all over the place in terms of expectations. So I want to add a little context there, but either of you are welcome to read these comments. I put these in here last night because I was looking at the teaser last night and I was just cackling at some of them. It was just so good. So one of you can take it away.
Stevie?
No,
would
totally.
you
Yeah,
like to-
I'm on top of it. Like I'm just looking back on it myself. Skull Merchant's teaser trailer. If you look back on it yourself, imagine like Workbench, one of Skull Merchant's drones. That's about it. 40 seconds. It doesn't reveal much as a teaser, but that leads some of the comments. The music is fire as always. The killer seems cybernetic related. Looks like this chapter's killer is going to be a cyborg. I've always wanted a cyborg killer in DBD. First the artist, then the dredge, then a ghost knight, now a cyborg. I'm loving the new creative direction, not gonna lie. Gives me a Terminator or Warhammer 40k vibe. I honestly can't wait to see what it is, original or licensed. I do not believe this is going to be a cyborg, maybe an inventor or a mechanic.
They were kind of right.
Yeah, people eventually got to it.
Oh.
Yikes. So yeah, I mean, the teaser just gives off like people, because you see a skull with tech in it and people are like, oh, it is a cyborg.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, in the background, you hear like grinding, like tools working. So, hey, maybe it's a cyborg that's working on themselves. That's like a lot of people thought.
Oh, it was very,
Yes.
But after that teaser, there was a second teaser, which was just an image, but it was the Macmillan map, somewhere in the Macmillan map of a tree. And next to that tree was a steel box / container with the same logo in the previous trailer, which was kind of like a red skull, I think. And people were like, oh, this is going to be like the Alien or Sadako. Obviously not those killers, because I don't think they were back then. But like, oh, it's going to be like this killer where they have like a unique property and you have to go to it to like stop them. No. This literally had nothing to do with the killer. It was literally just part of that, but we didn't know that. We were all like, oh, this is going to be part of the power. And this kind of leads into the point that I was really excited to talk about this episode. I've been waiting all week to talk about it. I like to call this tiny little segment Madison uses her degree. If you don't know, I'm in communication / PR. And when we're talking about messaging and trying to reach audiences, there's a lot of things. But of those messages that you're trying to talk to people, there are several concepts. And these are semiotics, metonyms, syntagms, and metaphors. To very roughly like summarize that up, semiotics is like symbolism and what things mean. Metaphors are like stand-ins for certain things when they mean other things. And the other two are a bit more complicated, so I'm probably going to mess this up. But basically, metonyms and syntagms are things when paired together create an image in one's head that they correlate it with. So, for example, I believe with syntagms, if I have an outfit on and it's like, oh, I got a Louis Vuitton bag, I got like amazing Chanel shirt, then you're like, oh, I'm rich. That would be a syntagm. But with a metonym, basically it's the idea you get from the image. So it's kind of like symbolism, but it's more like direct correlation. So if I have a Lamborghini, rich. If I have like a broken town pickup truck and it's got like a broken shift stick, you're like, oh, poor. So that was kind of what that means. And the reason why I bring that up is because looking at these concepts and what we saw in these teasers, it was giving the impression that this was a cybernetic killer that would have like upgrades that you would have to stop them from getting, or, oh, I have to go to this part of the map to get into this box to stop it, because we have these certain ideas given from past experiences with behavior teasers that this is how it's going to work. So specifically, for example, I'm gonna get this so wrong. Sadako, when she released, we got a teaser of like the TV and the tapes. I was like, oh, okay, so we've got to put the tapes in the TV to stop it. And lo and behold, that happened. We had to get tapes and put them in TVs. So when Skull Merchant happened, people were like, oh, we got to go get boxes and stop this cyborg killer because of the video. We're like, oh, someone's working. It's got to be a cyborg. Like, it's got the cybernetics on the skull representing human and machine. And then that didn't happen. We didn't get that. And I think that is on Behavior's part, because even though they had one idea, because of metonyms, syntagms, and metaphors and semiotics, people got a different idea from their own universal experience that I feel like they kind of had to tap in more. That's enough of me yapping about my degree, though. Tiny little segment over. Mads needs their degree. Wow.
That was our lesson for tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Great job. I learned something.
Stop. Oh my God. In conclusion, Behavior fucked up, but they didn't fuck up as much as the leak. So, for those who didn't know, one day before we got the official reveal and PTB of the Skull Merchant and the Lyra siblings in Tools of Torment, they had the unlisted video for the trailer go up a day early. And they immediately took it down within like 10 minutes, but the damage was done. And one screenshot of like the thumbnail got leaked with the twins on one side and the Skull Merchant on the other. And the reactions were, oh, interesting. People thought it was fake. I'm going to be honest. People thought it was fake.
The community, and if you go back, we read off some of the comments in the YouTube channel. If you go back to that YouTube video, the teaser that we mentioned, you will see comments in there saying people who have come back after the leak, after the reveal, and saying, wow, all these comments make me sad now. Because now we know it's not a cyborg. We know it's not a Terminator, because a lot of people thought it was maybe a Terminator license. The community was on fire. Like, people were so against this design. But I'll leave it there and let one of you guys talk.
Yeah.
It was immediate. It was very much, as soon as we know who we're getting and who we're playing as, this didn't fit any of the ideas of like, we wanted a gritty chapter to fill the hole that like we've kind of expanded this kind of like dark universe, and then we get, it doesn't seem like a dark chapter. Are these just rich kids? Why it feels weird. And Skull Merchant was immediately not people's favorites.
Yeah, to add upon that, I saw a lot of people back then when I was like on my phone at late at night, like, oh, I can't wait for the next chapter. A lot of people kind of had the same sentiment of they like the survivors. They're like, oh, they're cute, probably not real. But they were like, oh, I really hope this killer isn't real. She just doesn't look like she fits in. And I was like, yeah, she doesn't fit in. She'll probably not be real once the real chapter comes out tomorrow. And then, it came out the next day. And I was like,
What did you all think of Skull Merchant's design when you first saw her? And maybe what do you think of it now, all these years later?
Okay, I have to be completely honest. Oh, I don't want to be mean. I fucking hated it. I fucking hated it so fucking much.
Maddie, you're not alone. I also hated it, and I, to this day, still hate it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, to this day, it's still my least favorite design, because I don't mind parts of it. Like, parts of it I think are really cool. Together, though, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I think she's the best definition of class doesn't buy you style, or however that goes. Because, like, I like the half gas mask, but why the fuck does she bedazzle it? Why does she bedazzle it?
Yeah.
Why does she bedazzle it? Like it's fucking rhinestones. Stop.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. But then it's like, Skull Merchant to me has grown on me so fucking much.
Really?
From when she came out, I was like, oh my God, they had to fill in for losing a Predator license, and they were going to make Predator the licensed chapter, and then they had to fill in the power that they made 90% of the way with a random character. And to me now, I'm like, no, she's a little more than just a stand-in character now. She actually, I'm like sitting there in my chair drinking wine, like, yes. As the world collapses around me, she is more of an apt parallel to how the rich billionaires are. No style, terrible people who will kill you and use your body and are doing all of it just because they like anime for some reason. And then I think about like, no, like I think about all the crazy rich people and like, maybe Skullmarch is not too unrealistic. Is what I come to the conclusion of.
Yeah, not to get political, guys. Not to get political,
No
but
politic here.
Probably, yeah. This podcast isn't political at all.
Never.
Yeah, maybe not unrealistic, but I just remember having a visceral reaction. Like y'all, I didn't buy her for years. Like I don't think I bought her
chapter
for like I didn't buy her out of spite of like I'm gonna like now I think it's kind of silly, but I just boycotted that. Like I was not gonna buy that killer. I got the survivors, and Thalita and Renato are pretty beloved. Like you see them regularly in DVD. Skull Merchant is nowhere to be seen. But like at the time of the release, like the whole Predator conversation, like people thought this was a botched Predator. Like, oh my God, they couldn't get Predator. They pulled out at the last second. That was, of course, debunked later on when Alien came out. Like, and they have a great relationship with Disney, supposedly. So
they're like, sorry.
Yeah, like I said, the community was on fire at this design. Like we didn't even like that whole discourse just overshadowed the perks, Thalita and Renato, the map. Like, yes, there were criticisms to other things, but just nothing compared to A, this killer's lore, B, her design, and then what we'll eventually get into is her power, and remains to be a topic, a debatable topic to this day. So,
yeah. I do really want to quickly add, we are going to be talking about the license loss a little later because she is kind of tangentially related to that, and it's going to be very minor, but it is really interesting, especially since people kind of use that as fuel to hate her more, which led to what I call the guttering, but we'll get to that later. So let's talk about that PTB. On February 6, 2023, the Tools of Torment PTB released with, of course, the Skull Merchant, Renato, and Thalita Lyra, and the new map, which I do not remember the name, but it took place of the tree map and basically placed her base on it, which I think is really interesting. And I really hope we get more of that in the future, where a killer comes in and takes over another killer's map. I love kind of like, I don't want to say infighting, but I kind of like the idea of like killers not being buddy or like unknown to each other. They're like on site basically, and I kind of like the idea, especially since with Chopper's lore, he was like basically the son of an aristocrat, and Skull Merchant is her own aristocrat. She made her own self like super wealthy, so I kind of like that conflict. But before we get into more detail about the map, let's talk about the perks. So the perks overall were sadly not very noticeable except for one, and that was more after release when people realized how strong it was once it got reworked. But before that, it was kind of problematic. Specifically, I'm talking about background player for Renato Lyra, where on the PTB, it was whenever a survivor... Oh god, let's see if I remember this. When you unhook a survivor, you get a sprint burst effect for 3-5 seconds. And people hated it because it made no sense for his lore and also promoted really bad gameplay of, fuck you, I'm out, go die. So, yeah, that was really interesting. I'm not talking about any of the other perks, though, because the teamwork perks, though they reintroduced the teamwork mechanic, were pretty universally not really used. They were very bad.
Yeah.
Thalita came in with quick and quiet, but worse for some reason. We already mentioned background player. Renato also had the heartbreak effect. I forgot what it's called. What's the name of that perk? The one with the heart.
Oh, blood rush.
Blood rush. Thank you.
Heartbreak effect.
Heartbreak.
It does have a heart on it. It does have a heart.
But blood rush, where basically if you were on death hook, you could use it to get rid of exhaustion. People thought it was going to be OP. It ended up being mid, which I think is funny because everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to break the game." 1 week after release, no one uses it.
Everyone was scared of a second dead hard.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen, sadly. And then the third perk for Thalita, I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot about, and I think most people completely forgot about. Let's be for real here. Do we remember that name of the perk?
I don't.
You
I
said the
don't.
teamwork one.
Yep. It's not the
You
quick and
said
quiet
cut
bubblers.
loose.
Yep. So what's number 3?
I don't
Exactly.
know.
Exactly.
It's
You don't remember.
not teamwork, collective stealth, and not cut loose. It's. I know I got this.
We really know our stuff, don't we all?
No, I got this.
I'm just saying,
I don't
this is
own
a
her.
sign to show how forgettable these perks were. No one remembers her third perk. No one remembers it.
I don't.
I couldn't tell you. No.
I am just going to tell you because, I'm
Yeah,
just-
the only skill merchant perk I can think of right now is Thwack.
I was going to say, also, sadly, her perks are not really memorable either because we have Thwack, we have the, oh god, I want to say, Let Loose the Taste or something like that.
What?
And
Let
then
loose the taste?
Let Loose the Taste, something like that. Yeah, but
you have leverage and
Yeah.
game
yeah,
afoot.
leverage.
Game Effect, that was the one.
I still see leverage today. Yeah, with
Yeah.
healing.
Also,
healing
the
goods.
name of the perk, the third one that Talita had, was Friendly Competition.
Oh,
Where you and another survivor finish a gen, you get a temporary small speed boost to generators. Talk about
Yeah.
forgettable.
yeah, that could be anybody.
Yeah, so that was the third one. And Game of there was some niche, like very niche uses of First Soul Merchant's perk, but widely not really used. Now we're gonna move on from perks because they're not the important part. What was the important part was the new killer and her kit, specifically the skull drones. On release, they were interesting because a lot of people didn't really know what they were gonna do, and they have changed so much from when they are now today. But basically, to summarize, you had 6 drones that you could place across the map, and when you placed them, they would start in a sleepy state before going into an active state, where they would rotate 2 beams and kind of keep going like clockwise within 360 degrees very slowly, and survivors would either have to crouch or not move at all to reach up to them and do a small input into them to disable them. And then they would be disabled kind of like the singularity pods where they wouldn't work. And additionally, there was the claw traps where if a survivor got hit by the beams 3 times, they would be injured and they would pay a claw trap hit on them. And the killer could track people inside the vicinity of a drone, or if they had a claw trap. And then when a survivor wanted to get rid of the claw trap, they would also have to do the input. Makes sense so far.
I think she also got, was it haste when she dropped a drone? And then I don't remember because they've changed it so much. But I think she got haste
or undetectable.
Yeah, and then when she walked through her drone, she got undetectable again.
Yes, she also got undetectable when she walked through a drone when that was active.
Which
it
was
very confusing, but people playing against it thought it was very fine. However, there was one small thing that people didn't really notice until she got to release and then kind of wreaked havoc for a few months, is that her drones could go anywhere. They could go on hook, they could go on gens. Remember that one for later. Or it could go on very situational places like AC gates and stuff. So very concerning. But the main point was that it could go on to generators with no drawback. And specifically, if a survivor was working on a gen, they would still get scanned by the drone. It wouldn't just be null, oh, I don't see you. It would pick you up. It was only when you're crouching or standing that it wouldn't detect you. And also, if you were in the drone radius, regardless of your movement, she could track you. So, yeah. Not bad then. That quickly became bad a few weeks later.
Oh man. Let me see here. I'm looking at our notes really quickly. Yeah, I mean we probably should move on to that type of gameplay because I think that's when it really became problematic and kind of sparked the big issue, I would say.
Yeah. Before we move on, though, to the events, I do want to really talk about the map. The map was fine. There were some minor complaints, but it was largely an improvement to the last map where there was no main. The main was a fucking tree that had literally nothing. It was just a tree. So having an actual main building with pallets in the basement was pretty nice. Very slay. Good job, devs. Though people were scared that this was going to be a norm for future maps, specifically taking a new killer's stuff and putting it onto an original map. Thankfully, though, that has not happened since, and I think the devs said that they weren't planning to do that. So,
didn't they try to do that recently with the Walking Dead chapter? And
then
they did. Everyone was like, "Please don't."
Backtrack, and that's probably the worst map in the game now.
Yeah, I will say it's slightly different because it was a tile that only happens when you had the certain survivors quit versus a permanent addition to a map that would happen regardless of who you
Yeah,
play.
reworking the whole map to fit around a different main building is quite more extensive.
Yeah.
I
So
like
what
what
was
they've
that?
done with it now. When it first came out, I must admit being there for reworked Shelter Woods was hell. The
Shelter Woods.
windows were crazy and the like not the hedge walls cuz it's like a fence covered in like
Yeah.
tarp, but those like camouflaged walls are super annoying when they first came out. They're a lot better now. It's
Yeah.
like a much more consistent state where you only have to deal with like a staples shaped
Yeah.
wall.
It was very minor, like stuff, like pretty strong, but like it was very small in the grand scheme of things, especially with our killer, our girl, Skull Merchant.
She was the meat of this update.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, let's talk about the live release, aka March 7th, 2023, where, of course, the Tools of Torment chapter went live. There are some other notable things, though, that came along with this chapter. Most importantly were the Red Forest visual update and balancing, aka the Realm visual update series, where they took a bunch of old maps and visually updated them to standard quality back then. So they did that, and that was the last map they did and have been so far. So that was really interesting. Additionally, we got visual updates to Hattie to make her look a little bit better because before her graphics were great, and also her hairstyle options were literally the same.
Yeah.
But they did change that. They did change that. So she got some nice hair colors. She got like pink
Mhm.
streaks, white streaks, green streaks. Very slay. We also got map repeat prevention system. So if you got one map, it would decrease, and then if you got it again, you wouldn't get it again at all, no matter if other players had been on that. If other players were in your pool and they were like, "Oh, we want to go here," and brought map offerings, it would just be like, "No, this person's been on that map twice. You go to Limpkin Lane and you'll have fun." Additionally, we also got bots in custom games specifically for survivors, and they did say they would add killers some point. Hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened, yeah.
Weirdly in 2v8 though. Weirdly in 2v8, but not.
Yeah, well, 2v8, they kind of have to. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the cubes would be even worse, I'd say.
It's the
Yeah.
only solution to an AFK or a disconnected killer in
Mhm.
2v8.
And
Because you
here's
can
a crazy thing you probably didn't know, listeners and viewers, was the last thing added with the Tools of Torment release: player reporting. That didn't exist till then.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird.
In-game play reporting, crazy.
Yeah. Because like you could originally do like some kind of reporting, but it was more of like a thumbs down than actual reporting. This one actually gave you like a report being like, this person got banned and stuff, like the date and stuff, which I thought was
Mhm.
wild. I didn't know that till literally today. I was like,
I didn't either. I was looking through those patch notes, and I was shocked to see it was so recent.
yeah.
Sucks to see it hasn't really evolved since then. Hopefully that changes over the next year or so.
Definitely my favorite bit of dopamine from Dead by Daylight is when you boot up the game and you get that message that's like,
Oh my
a month and
gosh,
a half
yeah.
ago, this person you reported is banned now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, thank God they
It's
were
just
a dick in
chef's
chat.
kiss.
They were a hacker. They
Mhm.
were obnoxious.
They called me
glitched.
slurs.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So
Love it.
yeah,
Great
really
feeling.
weird that they added it then, but I'm glad we have it, even if it hasn't really been improved. But a couple of weeks later, past live, people are getting used to her. A few months, people found a new gameplay style. So, ladies, how do you feel about the word chess merchant?
Grinds my gears.
It was a huge wake up call, I think, for the
Mhm.
community and for myself at least, when the
Yeah.
chess merchant drama happened. I think it was very much like a how are we playing this video game is the question.
Yes.
Because if we want to say that this is the most optimal strategy, why are we not doing this with everyone? And then what can we learn from Skull Merchant to play in these dirty ways that guarantee wins? And it's like, should we play like this?
Mm-hmm.
That was immediately like no, you have 4 other people who are stuck in a match as long as you want to keep them there. And that is reminiscent of like hatch standoffs. It's reminiscent of like body blocking people before they had like, collision changes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, listeners and viewers, because you might not know what chess merchant is. It might be like, oh, people are scared, but I don't want to search that up. So what is it? Well, chess merchant is, well, before we get into it really quickly, I'm going to be talking about real people and stuff that they did. This is not to throw shade at them. Do not go send them hate. This is specifically just reporting on stuff that's happened. And if you send hate to them, you will be called poo poo pee pee, and we don't like you. So don't do that. All right, Bryson, Stevie, you agree? Don't send hate to people.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about people because they're really important for this event/history. Specifically, this was a gameplay style popularized by a P100 Skull Merchant streamer called CM9I, in which they would hold a free gen to reach the 1 hour limit. Because if you didn't know, if a Dead by Daylight match went up to an hour, it would automatically grant the win to the killer and sacrifice all the survivors. So CM9I would specifically make sure all the gens were done in a way that 3 of them were close together and hold a 3 gen and to keep them from being popped for an hour and then automatically win no matter what the survivors did. And some things to remember specifically is back at that time, gen kick limit wasn't a thing. So after a generator got kicked 8 times, they would be blocked. That didn't happen. You could kick that as many times as you want.
This incident spawned that system.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was.
Is the reason why we have gen kick limit. Yeah. And additionally, as mentioned before, if you placed a drone on a generator, no negative side effects would happen to the killer. Specifically to the survivor, if you're working on a gen with a drone active on it, it would still scan you and then injure you, and then you would also be slowed if it scanned you again, and the killer would know where you are with killer instinct. So basically, you would be fucked if you worked on a gen and didn't disable it. But if you disabled it, the killer got a notification. And I think certain add-ons made it so you could get even claw trapped when you got a drone destroyed/disabled. So it led to a very unhealthy gameplay style where certain people would do that, and then they would combine perks like Call of Brine, Eruption, Pop Goes the Weasel, and other perks like that to just really dominate a 3 gen, get to the hour limit, and automatically win. The reason why it's called Chess Merchant, though, is because CM9I, when defending this gameplay style, compared it to chess, hence the name Chess Merchant. So, yeah, there is a little bit of funny stuff, and basically the reason why Chess Merchant became so much more prevalent than it did before was an event where one of the most professional and probably one of the most strong competitive teams in Dead by Daylight history, Team Eternal, they basically got into like a Twitter spew and did a custom match where Team Eternal versed CM9I. So these were the best players in the world versus just a P100 Skull Merchant doing the chess style. It took them roughly 54 minutes to get them all out. The best team in the game barely lost to Chess Merchant. That's how much of an issue it was. It was so easy to hold a 3 gen and to do that strategy with Skull Merchant, I was called Chess Merchant, that you basically want every time. And the fact that the strongest players, considered by most people, the strongest players in the game for Survivor, struggled so much, shows on how unhealthy that gameplay style was and how that kind of endorsed Chess Merchant to other players and was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be evil. I'm going to be Satan. Bryce and Stevie, thoughts on Chess Merchant?
There's like a couple angles of it, right? Like you can see it as like, oh, it inspired people to act this way. I think mainly that this is like the play styles that are distasteful get like found by people who want to play distastefully. And it doesn't matter what killer they're on, they'll find that. But they'll gravitate towards the killer that allows them to win more games playing distastefully and make people feel worse. So Skull Merchant had that bonus effect where now that people are flocking to her as the new character to play in a way that guarantees a win for yourself at the expense of everyone else in the lobby's fun, now everyone can assign that type of player to Skull Merchant. And now no longer is there like basement trappers and camping bubbas as much as there were before. Now they're just playing Skull Merchant and holding 3 gens from the minute they spawn in and putting 1 or 2 drones on each gen. And they are allowed to do that because original Skull Merchant was very, very forgiving and very much oppressive.
Yeah.
It was interesting seeing where those players go after the character gets nuked.
Yeah. The Guttering.
I have such vivid flashbacks of this time in DBD. I think this might have been the first time, my experience at least, the first time where a streamer or a content creator had a great influence in how I enjoyed a game. And it's not even something because other people were following their lead, right? Like every game is like this, like Arc Raiders, Call of Duty, Battlefield, or Marvel Rivals, etc. Every competitive game has their leading streamers and content creators, and they put out a video like, and you see this in DBD YouTube and streamers, like, no shade to any of those individuals. They create wonderful content, but at a certain point, I really dislike when a game is super, especially the player base is super influenced, or even like the balancing is super influenced by content creators. It just feels bad. Like a lot of time is not representative of the entire player base. Because there is just such a broad range, and this really felt like the first time where someone influenced that to where it was hindering my experience. And this, we went against this constantly. Like, as soon as you spawned in and you knew it was a skull merchant, you knew they were going to be doing the chess merchant play. And it was always that they would pick 3 gens that were close to each other, and they would just stay there. Like, you would try to take them, you try to provoke chase, they would drop chase anytime they got further or far away from their gens. So this was a rough time.
I personally enjoyed the challenge of it if my team was up for it. If everyone was down to say, this is how she is going to play, if she doesn't play like this, it is unoptimal and she will lose anyway, do not DC. Or we will call her bluff. If she's playing Skull Merchant, hoping we DC and she's going to hold a 3-gen, we're going to play it out. We're going to not give her the 3-gen. We're going to break it from the start when we know it's what she's looking for. And if she lets us do that, we'll have an easy end game. So it was a lot of fun when you could beat it, because she was not a strong killer initially. She never really got to that point. No. She just had a couple win conditions she could set up.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, if you had a team you could coordinate that with, that was awesome. Like, those types of games.
Skull Merchants weren't P100 stream stompers, whatever.
Yeah,
they were somebody looking to get an easy win,
no matter what, or I'm going to blow up.
Yeah, so and that's fun. Like, you have a really close game and you're able to knock out one of those gens, and then that strategy just goes out the window, right? So, or maybe they'll try to set up another one, and you got to kind of crack that too. But it really got to the point where, which our next big point, which is people just quit. Like, this is another reason why we have go next prevention is giving up, just straight up either DCing or giving up on hook immediately. And so it was a rough time.
Yeah. I do want to quickly add, around this time, very unrelated to Skull Merchant, but for Renato, this is when background player got updated. So instead of unhooking, it was when a killer picks someone up, because it makes sense. Like, you're coming from the background to come help. So really like that.
Oh yeah,
and then
on
later
release,
down
that
the
perk
road
was usable.
Yeah, it actually became usable, not a throw pick. Eventually down the road, we also got changed to Heartbreak, where
Blood Rush.
Blood Rush, thank you. Where instead of being on Def on Hook, it's after you got hooked, you could use it. So good changes. But back to Skull Merchant, to what kind of Stevie and Bryson sort of hinted. After Chess Merchant started getting popular, a new sort of phenomenon started happening called the give up epidemic, where when paired in a match with Skull Merchant, survivors would immediately give up. They would either DC, stand still, or run to the killer and just wait for them to kill them and then give up on hook. People hated her so fucking much. They thought she was annoying in chase. They hated Chase Merchant. For some reason, the people who play Skull Merchant were super toxic, and they would be super toxic. They would do the humping thing on survivors, or they'd just be nodding their head the whole time. People got really fed up to the point they were like, I'm not even gonna play. I'm just gonna leave. Also to note, we didn't have disconnect penalty or go next preventions. And to kind of add to it, Skull Merchant is the reason why we have these things. Also, kind of funny how one killer invented 3-4 core mechanics of Dead by Daylight. Oh my god!
I think, but it's right. She helped push along these changes that were kind of bubbling and needed to happen, but she kind of exploded those and allowed them all to be worse than what they were before through one killer.
Yes. I really like how you said that because I really agree with that. I feel like she was the straw that broke the camel's back. She's kind of responsible for all these feelings that people had, like people giving up, people playing really scummy and trying to hold a free gen, people being toxic and giving up and DCing. And I'm just, yeah, she was kind of just the reason all this happened.
Yeah.
And kind of tragically, and it's sort of, I hate her, but oh my god, that really sucks for her way. It led to an event that we call the Guttering. So,
When did it start, Maddie?
the Guttering happened, oh god, I want to say after the anniversary that year, around November, September, give or take.
Yeah, this era of Skull Merchant did not last more than a couple weeks, months. It had
Yeah,
a
months,
short
yeah.
timeline.
Yeah, so like around September, she got hit really, really hard. Basically, she got the following changes. Decreased hindered penalty when scanned by a drone to 5% was 10. Removed haste when scanning a survivor. Reduced number of drone scan lines to 1. She used to have 2. Drones now are always active, but drone scan lines are now invisible beyond 16 meters. So very heavy break her knees. So it kind of addressed some of the main issues. I should also note before this, they did get rid of like the free gen stuff. Like if you're working on a gen, it would not scan you and stuff like that. But that was very minor. But they were like, we gotta do it again. Bash her knees in. And let's just talk about that. The hindered penalty is when a survivor had a claw trap on and got scanned. 10% was basically you're dead. 5% was like you can maybe make a pallet. The haste when scanning a survivor combined with the hindered basically meant you could win the chase. But now you really had to rely on that 5% hindered, which in some cases would not be enough. The one scan line, though, was the thing that truly broke her. 2 lines was a lot easier because you could like reverse it in the direction that the drone were going. But with 1 line, it was awful. It was awful. I'm going to say, I tried her out when she got changed. Awful experience. Really bad. They really killed her. And they weren't done. They weren't done after this. No. Like, yeah, the drones are now always active and the scan lines are now invisible beyond 60 meters, but they did some more changes. So, gain 5% haste when a survivor is scanned within 5 seconds of placing a drone or charging its rotation. Okay, slay. Hinder effect when scanned by drone increased to 8%. Good. Increased drone rotation speed to 95 degrees instead of 85% degrees per second. Slay. Decrease movement speed while deploying drone or inspecting radar to 4.4 instead of her base movement speed. Oh, drones no longer detect fast vaults. You killed her. She's dead. Oh my god. You shot her back at the of the barn like a dog with a broken leg. Oh Jesus. Oh no. Shayla, dare I say. Not Shayla. Oh no. And then they said we will rework her later for larger changes, but we wanted to leave her at a weaker state. They specifically nerfed her to the ground so people wouldn't worry about her when they came up with a major rework. Then 2 whole rework concepts were planned and then dumped because the community didn't like it. And some things include a global duck or get scanned, a drone buddy, and more active drones that you could control. All of these were not continued, however. Additionally, her terror radius did get a little buff and got reduced to 24 meters. Then in 9.3, we got some nice buffs, which I won't go over all of them, but basically hindered went back to the way it was. Drone rotation speed got buffed. Deploy drone cooldown got decreased. Undetectable got decreased, sadly, but then the fast fall immunity from being scanned got removed. Instead got changed to a duration and stuff like that. But ever since that change, she has not changed once, besides bug fixes, obviously. Basically, they broke her knees, broke both her knees, fixed them in casts, never took the casts off. And that's where we're at today. Basically, this Guttering event destroyed her, both for the people who wanted to go against her, but specifically the people who wanted to play her. And yeah. Ooh. Pause.
Yeah, I want to go back real quick to like the DC and the Go Next kind of pandemic there. It got so bad that yes, they got her kit, her like they just completely nerfed her to the ground because at a certain point she had the highest kill rate of any killer because people kept seeing or giving up.
72% kill rate.
Incredible how people like it just skyrocketed because people hated playing against her. First of all, even if she wasn't a chess merchant and she was just a chase merchant, which is another term where she uses her drone and chase, the counterplay is boring. Like we previously had the knight, which is if they drop, the counterplay there is if they drop
Their power.
the power on a loop, just leave the loop. That they released the same counterplay the next killer, and I think we had the artist already by this point too, which also same counterplay there. Yeah, so it's like this power. First of all, the power is not fun to play against.
It's my favorite counterplay though.
Yeah, bring it away. Drop it away.
Teach their own. Teach their own. Not my cup of tea. But the counterplay as a survivor was not enjoyable. And she's getting undetectable and haze, so that just feels really bad sometimes to play against.
And it's really deceiving because you can't really tell how slow you're going with haste, and you can't tell when and how fast she's going alongside you. It's hard, and it just feels inconsistent every time, because if they're a good skull merchant, they're going to be maximizing these effects, and it'll be a noticeably harder chase. But if they're a terrible skull merchant that's just crutching, hoping everyone DCs at the start to get wins.
Yeah, because it wasn't just she got haste. It was also she got haste, she got undetectable, and if you were getting sand by the thingy, you were getting slowed. So she would catch up basically immediately.
So her kit was just bloated, and with all of these elements, new players and just players in general just had no idea how she worked. And so they either DC'd because they didn't want to play against a chess merchant, or they died because they don't understand the power and the counterplay, or they just didn't even have any chance because they just don't understand.
Oh my god.
So it was just no matter how you cut it, this killer was really something. I think
we said it perfectly. Bloated. She was bloated.
Yeah, so much going on with some really cool cosmetics that have come out since, especially now. She has amazing cosmetics. I would have traded out any of those cosmetics for her base cosmetic because I think that is a hot mess. Regardless though, just a lot going on that wasn't really clearly stated or is very telegraphed either. If you just look at the killer and play her and you're a survivor, you really wouldn't know what to do. You have these drones, I can go up to them and get rid of them. What does that do? I don't really know. Whereas other killers, you can quickly telegraph what the counter is, what they do, and what you need to do to kind of address those things. So it was a complicated mess, and that really made people not want to play her or couldn't play against her, and that made that kill rate skyrocket crazy high. And then they gutted her because they wanted to lower the kill rate of her, and now her pick rate is nothing, 0.5, not even 1%, I think. So
not even 1%. I do want to quickly add, before we move on to the final section of this retrospective, there are a few things that we hinted at that I want to talk about a bit more, specifically the failed license. People thought she was a failed predator license, specifically because of her claw traps. They thought the little guys, the little 3 points, looked like the laser pointers for the shoulder cannon.
And the wrist blade.
And the wrist blade. So they're and the little tracker, they're like, oh, this was Predator. And then the devs had to come out straight up and be like, no, this was not a canceled Predator chapter. But they did weirdly say a little bit later, hey, there was a license we were going to get, but we couldn't get through with it. It wasn't Predator, though. And this was around when Skull Merchant was recent. So it was really weird on their part and kind of feel added to the hate to her. Additionally, what added to the hate with her is her lore. Because we're not going to delete that. I feel like it's very simple, even if running a kite business is okay, slay.
No, yeah, that's pretty simple lore, right? It's siblings by chance, lovers by choice.
No,
pretty simple stuff.
No, what do you mean? No, what?
Are they lovers?
No, why did you say that, Steve?
No, that's the classic, right? You see the Renato and the Lita duo queue, and they join your lobby, and they have
no,
they're the E-couple.
The E-couples.
Those are siblings. No.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Moving on.
I don't know if DVD has any incest in its lore.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. Moving
I don't
on.
think they do either, Bryce.
What I really like about Renato and Delita is that though they run a small little kite business, individually, personality-wise, they're great. Talitha's a leader, always checking on Renato, and just being the bigger sister, which I love because I really relate to her. She's so sweet. And Renato is really good autism rep, because if you don't know, he has autism, and he's part of the
I did
spectrum.
not know
And
that.
the way
Wow.
they describe him in both the tome and his base lore with his autism is fairly realistic. I have an autistic brother, and just seeing how they describe it, it was a lot better than they did with Claudette, which I'm a big fan of Pixel Bush, and he said it best as someone who has autism. In Claudette's story, talking about her autism, they really focused on other people and how it affected them, whereas Renato, it really focused on him and how he felt. And I really appreciated that they, let the person with autism talk about the autism and not, Claudette's parents were confused. They didn't understand her.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, I hate that so much. Anyways, moving on to lore. The reason why I mentioned the lore, besides really good survival lore, dark Brazilian mangas. If you don't know, basically, she was a child prodigy who saw a lot of mangas and made a business about it. Her father was a mangaka in Brazil, went crazy, low-key predicted her going evil from the entity, but was like mad, dipped out when she was like 12, became evil business exec, learned she wanted to hurt people, kill people, and she's also like Sly Girl Boss, where she takes over companies and then kills the CEOs and then gets them. But then one day when she's hunting somebody, gasp, the twins see her, she hunts them, fogged. It's just weird. And I
Yeah.
should really add really quickly, her liking mangas is not make no sense. It does make sense because of two things. One, she's half Japanese, half Brazilian. And two, Brazil is, I believe, one of the largest consumers of manga in the world.
Wow,
So
I didn't know that.
that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
just the sentence, dark Brazilian mangas. That sounds a little weird. Like, Brazilian mangas, totally fine. Dark Brazilian mangas? What is this? Witchcraft?
As
Is she
someone
casting spells?
someone who's not as attuned to the lore, is that the reason she starts killing people?
Kind of. It's like she wants to pretend to be the skull merchant because her father is a mangaka, and he like writes a manga about someone called the skull merchant who like goes and kills people and like this dystopian world of like that kind of looks like the entity's realm. And he was like mad and eventually dipped out one day, and she kept those books, and she was like, wow, she's cool, girl boss. I want to be girl boss. So
Oh,
she's more delusional than
inspired.
it being a influence, but it could also be an influence. It's weird.
Yeah.
She's weird.
Can we
She's weird.
can we talk about, and she's the subject of the episode, the name, the Skull Merchant. What do we think about that?
Okay. In reference to her lore, it makes sense because the character in the book she's copying is called the Skull Merchant.
Yeah.
Very disappointed she's called the Skull Merchant. I feel like something else could be cooler. Like if we didn't have the Huntress, she could be the Huntress. I feel like that makes sense. Or I don't know, maybe like the Bounty Hunter. I don't know. Something more interesting than the Skull Merchant. Because I get the skull part, very obvious where the skull part comes from. Merchant because she's an executive? No.
It feels like a bad
No.
translation for like death dealer.
I would like
Yeah.
that so much better. Death Dealer would be a good name. The Death Dealer. That makes more sense than fucking.
Sounds like Slinger
Let's
though.
all match
Sounds
it.
like
But
Death Slinger.
Yeah, but and
That'd
even
be
then,
good.
like if you put the
Yeah.
even if you put that and then you look her up, like I don't think anything you give her like that, like that's just too cool. I think, but
Mhm.
I just like the Skull Merchant just doesn't mean anything, Like
And like
doesn't
you can
give
pick a
Skull
cooler
Merchant.
word than skull. Skull is like the 6-year-old's cool word.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what-
it makes sense. She collects the skulls.
But,
Maybe
like,
she'd be called the Skull
Bone
Collector.
Merchant.
I don't fucking know.
Skull Collector. Yeah, I mean, then that to me that sounds like Predator, a failed Predator chapter. Collecting trophies and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. What do you call it? I don't know, but like I know a
Yeah.
lot of people. That was another criticism is like, the lore, especially the dark Brazilian manga, and then you have the Skull Merchant. Like people are like, what the fuck does it even mean? Like, how does that have any? There's no context as to what that means or why
Yeah.
that's it. So.
And
Ugh.
to bring up my degree once more, one problem I have with Skull Merchant is that her design doesn't really correlate well to the backstory, because the backstory paints the picture of someone so obsessed with her father's books that she wants to become that character and kind of like escape the world, but also kind of like enact her feelings that she's really feeling that she's not socially allowed to do because they're really messed up, aka murdering people. and sort of just being malicious. She's a girl boss who's like, I'm gonna kill people. Okay, maybe not girl boss. I keep saying girl boss because she's like an executive and lady, but she's not girl boss. Like,
CEO.
go queen, slay. It's like, oh god, don't slay, don't slay. But she's just very much like, she's very strong, she's very powerful. Where it was a lot of the other female killers, which I will give Skull Merchant this, a lot of the last female killers, they did not have control of their own story and were kind of born the way they were out of circumstance. Like Hag, she went insane after being cannibalized. Spirit, she got butchered by her father. Huntress, she was kept isolated by her mother and then watched her die. A lot of these, Huntress, and like that, and maybe the nurse, Heavy, maybe. A lot of the female killers were very much circumstantial. Like the environment they were in caused them to be this. Skull Merchant was always evil. She grew up with this tendency and was not given the proper care by her father, who was going insane, and her mother, who I don't really remember. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember her fucking mother. But because of the circumstances of them not being able to support her versus being actively hostile towards her, she's allowed to fester and grow and become this dark influence and become, a murderer, basically. Well, not basically, is a murderer. And that just doesn't translate into her design because she's supposed to be a balance of a hunter and an aristocrat, very much like, I forgot his name from the Most Dangerous Game, where he hunts people on his island. She doesn't give that. She's very confusing because it feels like she's conflicted between the two. But in her lore, she's very much not conflicted. There's no confliction, but in her design, there is confliction. Because if she has the bejeweled mask, she has to half open. She wants you to know who she is when she kills you, but she's also hiding part of her face. And also her outfit is giving like, I'm making all these contraptions. Because if you didn't know, I forgot to mention this, she makes all her stuff very slay, very cool. Yeah. She makes these skull drones for scare factor because like the character in the manga. But it's just the design doesn't correlate to that really well. Because if I didn't tell you who the Skull Merchant was and I showed you to her, what would you think her name be? Probably not the fucking Skull Merchant.
Okay,
versus
just thought
if
about
I showed you the trapper holding a bear trap, you'd say that's a guy who traps. The old lady, Hag, nurse outfit, nurse, like very like stupid simple. She's not stupid simple. I'm mad at you.
What about the Tinkerer?
The
Boom.
Tinkerer would be cool.
That makes sense.
Tinkerer would be cool.
I know she's got
There you
a
go.
wrench in that fucking overall coat.
Yeah,
only-
because she's like we had the YouTube comment, like maybe it'll be a mechanic or something. Like she does kind of like a mechanic kind of vibe. I wouldn't call her the mechanic.
She loves
but still.
generators.
Yeah.
Tell you that.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I do feel like it probably wouldn't be named Mechanic, not because there's a perk named Tinkerer, or yeah, I think she wouldn't be called Tinkerer, only because it sounds a little silly. Because like Trapper, the nurse, the doctor, the Tinkerer, I make little contraptions.
What about the Gearhead?
I'm a bit of a gearhead. I like gadgets and gizmos. I'm a bit of a gearhead.
I feel like the Mechanist would maybe be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
Mechanist?
Yeah,
So that's a Fallout of character now.
Yeah, it's giving like Fallout a little bit. I feel like one thing that would have really helped her design, in my opinion, was to commit to one or the other. Either make her, she ditches the entire like aesthetic, but she has like a glammed out face because maybe she came from a meeting. But the rest of her outfit is like very grungy, very, I'm made literally wearing these clothes. I'm literally wearing these things I made to kill you. Or lean into the aristocratic side where she's very like, I'm rich and powerful, but there's like little details on her clothing that say, oh yeah, I also go hunting on Tuesdays for people. Yeah.
I think her newer cosmetics definitely are more of that. I think her
100%,
cosmetics
yeah.
are more like we are solidifying her design and kind of taking the best aspects because her
Yeah.
her default outfit is weird. It's like it's a half of one outfit, half of another.
Yeah. I definitely think there are also some other minor things I don't really like the gas mask, specifically it being a gas mask, makes no sense because she doesn't use like toxins or anything, I think, in the lore.
It also doesn't cover her entire face.
Yeah, so what does it do? It's just a scare tactic. At that point, what she could do is just get a face mask. I feel like that would be creepier. Like, she put details on it, kind of like that one Legion cosmetic where they have the face mask, I think. Like, I feel like that'd be cool.
She has like a post-apocalyptic style version where she's got a mohawk. And I think she was in a rift. I think it was the rift that followed this chapter.
Yes.
But and she's got a gas mask, but it just covers her mouth and it goes over her nose.
Yes.
And then her eyes are revealed. That one's really good. And a lot of people were saying this should have been her base outfit because this makes sense. This just in terms of aesthetically, it's just better, and and it's all put together, and it makes her more menacing.
Yeah. Maybe controversial opinion here, I feel like she's the only character in the game where I feel like she needs a base rework, like aesthetically slash design. Like
I
I feel
agree
like
with
her
you.
base skin needs to change because as much as I like what they try to do with her, I feel like she doesn't work. And they have a really interesting opportunity. She's in the fog. They can like twist her form because the entity can do whatever it wants when it's in the realm. So like
Mhm.
imagine like there's a trailer where it shows like a clip of like the Skull Merchant in Chase, but she's like losing, she's getting frustrated, and there's whispers being like, "We can help you, we can make you stronger," and then they can have her change like physically as the entity corrupts her, and then that can lead to her new lore and her new rework and be like a Skull Merchant Part 2, but she's actually fun to go against to play as a gun. They have so many opportunities. Instead of fucking scrapping it, why didn't they scrap it?
Yeah, and to go back to the rework previews, we got 2 of them. They were pretty well received, I thought. But my guess is, and we mentioned this before, they mapped out how much time it would take to do that rework. They said, "Is it worth the time?" They probably said management was like, upper management is like, "No, not worth the time. See what you can do in terms of numbers with their current kit." And that's faster, and we can get it out the door sooner, and we don't have to spend all these resources on all these other things because they got to make moolah.
Yeah. Like, sadly, we have like 30 plus, 40 plus killers, and why would they waste resources on one when they can just easily make a new one that's more hyped or even licensed and guarantee money versus risking it and probably losing it with Skull Merchant? Like, would you rather buy the Skull Merchant or the Alien? Skull Merchant or the twin? Okay, maybe not the twins, or the Singularity.
Right. I fear
Like, there's so many
that is the world where
cooler concepts.
Skull Merchant gets reworked, is when they look at it and say, we have to pick one to rework. We have to pick
Yeah.
one between Twins and Skull Merchant, and Skull Merchant seems easier to rework. And I think that's how she'll get it.
It's really interesting though, because I'd say like in DBD's history, there's only been 2 killers where they're kind of like, what do we do with them? That being the Skull Merchant and the twins. And I definitely think we should do a retrospective of Binding of King, because that's also kind of like a very, I don't want to say game changing historical chapter. I'm gonna say that because yeah. But yeah, any closing thoughts we want to say about the legacy of Tools of Torment, specifically Skull Merchant, before we move on to the closing?
Just that before this, I didn't realize how much impact she had on the game, but now looking back, a lot of the quality of life systems we have in place, go next prevention, the gen kick regression limits, like incredible how much influence she had on this game, and yet we don't ever see her. So I think that's really sad, and it sucks that she's had this really bumpy history. And I hope that the Skull Merchant mains, the 2 of you that are out there, get some love in the future, because she definitely needs a rework.
Yeah, Stevie.
Here. I am going to become the 3rd Skull Merchant main. I am going to put my
Go for
nose
it.
to the
Be
grindstone
awesome.
and buy her and learn her in and out, and probably get bored. But I know you can like wiggle her hips or something as like in
Oh
front
yeah,
of the
she's
survivor.
swinging
Great
those
ass.
things like she's got weights or something on her ankle.
So
Like,
that's
what did she
appealing.
do?
She got
Yeah.
something.
One other critique is her walking animation. She glides along the ground.
Yeah, she
Like,
is
if you
not
look-
walking. She's
If you
gliding.
compare to other killers where they look like they're stepping, she glides, which is, I just spilled my drink. It's just really weird. It's
Oh.
bizarre. I didn't spill it. It tipped over.
Oh, okay.
But it's just bizarre how she looks like that when everyone else looks different. I don't know what they did.
Yeah, that's another thing I really want to quickly add. We're always like, we want to add something. We want to add
Oh,
something.
one more thing. One more thing.
I get making people sexy. Sex sells. We know that. If someone's hot, we're more likely to buy it because we're like, damn, I want to look at that all the time. So we want to play Skull Merchant. My problem is it gets to a point, and I feel like she was kind of culmination because before her, we got Vittorio. And before him, I'm pretty sure we got, oh God, I can't remember her name. What's her name? What is your name? It was a female survivor.
Oh,
Give me the
right
chapter.
before night
After Hattie.
after Hattie, right before
After
night.
Hattie. Oh my God.
I had
What's her-
chapters open.
what
a second
is your
ago.
name?
Michaela? Sable?
Michaela.
Oh yeah, she was solo.
yeah.
I was like, there was
okay.
no killer in between night and.
But basically, we got a lot of sexy people, and this was kind of like another thing that caused people to like explode. They were tired of sexy. We get it. We're sexy. They're sexy. They're sexy.
Ugh,
wanted-
more
they wanted
beautiful
to be
women.
freaky,
God, I'm
scary.
sick of this.
Literally, they're like, we don't want women. We want monsters. And we eventually did get our monster with the Singularity and Gabriel Soma. So there's that at least. Wait, no, not
Mhm.
Gabriel. Yeah, wait, no.
Yeah.
That was release. That was release. Because year 7 was Gabriel Soma and the Singularity, and they were released
We had
later at
Dredge
the end
in
of
year
year 7.
7.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? You think certain killers come after another, and then it's
Yeah.
like, actually, no. Skull Merchant came after Singularity. Isn't that fucking weird?
No. Skull Merchant was right before Singularity.
I
Yeah.
was wrong. Kick me in the butt.
Singularity
I was right before that.
was year 8 anniversary.
Yeah. Year 7 was Dredge. There we go. Oh my god. I'm so smart. I'm so smart.
It's hard.
Anyways. Oh, sorry. You're gonna say?
No, it's hard to remember these things.
Yeah.
That's why we have to
It's
go
10
over them.
years. 10 years. 10 years of history is a lot of history. Well, that is where we're going to end the episode today. Thank you, folks, for listening to this episode or listening. Be sure to join the Discord to engage with us and the rest of the community, and also participate in our upcoming events and future events, because we have some more events planned that may include, we got boot camps and stuff, but we may have like viewing parties. Huh?
Maybe.
Anything's on the table.
Anything's on the table. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to follow us on Spotify or the app of your listening preference. Drop us a review on the platform of your choice. Any kind of support in these areas means a lot to us and helps us reach more people. Send us to a friend or an enemy if you want to, or maybe someone who's really into dark Brazilian Among Us.
Or likes to operate drones. I don't know.
Or operating drones, maybe. Or flying kites.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you, Stevie and Bryson. Thank you, listeners and viewers. We'll see you in the fog next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.